We've seen some pretty wild moves in the market recently, and I think to me this is indicating that we could be getting closer than ever to alt season. Now, of course, as we have seen multiple times when we have had these more limited alt rotations, meme coins are the place to be. They do absolutely insanely wild gains, as they usually are kind of a beta on the crypto market. Now, for those of you who don't know, a beta is essentially like if something moves 10%, something with a higher beta moves 20%. So it just essentially is like a leveraged play on the crypto market, which of course the crypto market is already insanely wild. So some of these gains can just be absolutely mind-blowing. Today, I want to talk about the 5 meme coins I think are the most important to have in your portfolio, because I think they represent a really wide swath of what the meme coin market has to offer. So I want to go in and discuss all of these today. So first off, we can take a look here on CoinGecko. This is the top meme coins by market cap. I do have a list here that I'm going to be going through to show you some of the top meme coins, at least in my opinion, within the market. Now, first off, we have Pepe. In my opinion, between Doge, SHIB, and Pepe, they're all kind of within the same level, yet Pepe is much smaller than these other two. Now, there is always the possibility that Doge, outperforms the other two, but given the fact that Doge is the largest market cap, I think it has probably the lowest opportunity for upside. Likewise, we can see something similar with SHIB, but I think SHIB is too similar to Doge. Pepe, of course, has a very, very strong meme, and I think it has a really strong potential to potentially run quite hard. So that's why I'm picking Pepe as my first. Now, of course, I'm going from kind of large market cap to small market cap, just because the lower that you go, of course, does get very, very risky, and meme coins are already risky as it is. So moving along, we have Fartcoin here as well. Fartcoin is one you can see at 1.3 billion, so much, much smaller, about 20% the size of Pepe, a little bit larger than that, but about 20%. And we can see it's done incredibly well. Even if we look at Fartcoin over when the meme market was really just getting absolutely crushed, it held up pretty well. And so this to me is always a good sign. When the markets get really, really bad, the ones that perform the best relative to the rest of the market are likely going to perform better than the rest on the upside as well. So Fartcoin to me remains a really, really strong play. Now, SPX 6900 gets a honorable mention here, but more on that here in a second, just because I think we've got a little bit better of a beta play to SPX 6900. Next one we have is Brett. Brett is a good one because it's on the Base ecosystem. Base, of course, is really, really high potential to do quite well because it is the Coinbase layer. And so I do think that it has some really high potential to actually get us some really interesting returns. Again, only at 571 million. So if the Base ecosystem really does take off, we could see some insane moves coming from Brett particularly. Brett has been well over $1 billion at several points in the past, so not something to fade. Now, the next one we have is Dog. Dog, we can see here, is on Bitcoin. This is another similar type of play to Brett. We haven't really seen, well, we've seen some limited rotations into things kind of built on Bitcoin in the past, because this is a relatively new type of phenomenon. And so I think having some exposure into this is a really, really good idea. And the best way to do that is through Dog. Now, I did want to give an honorable mention here to Pingu as well. Before we get into our last number 5 coin, I did want to give an honorable mention to Pingu, just because this is one, it is well over $1 billion though, but it does seem to have a decent bit of volume. You can see absolutely crushing the 24-hour volume chart here, kind of outperforming many of the ones above it. So this is something I would definitely keep a really close eye on. Now, the 5th one I want to talk about is Token 6900. Now, this one I kind of say is a beta play to SPX 6900 because, of course, they are following the general same type of moniker. Now, this is a pre-sale, and pre-sales do have an inherent level of risk, but we have been just absolutely crushing it with the pre-sales recently, which does lead me to believe that possibly pre-sale season could be back on. We had been talking about BTC Bull over the past several weeks and maybe even several months on the channel, and we could see that it had some real potential here. It did end up raising $8 million. It launched and went all the way up to a $75 million market cap, over, or I guess almost a 4x from launch. So a really, really nice return if you did get in on that pre-sale. You can see, even though it has fallen down a little bit, it still is sitting up over 2x from the launch. So overall, really, really nice return. And of course, if you did get in early, you're sitting up even more from that. So a really, really interesting play if that is something that you did happen to get in on, congratulations. We also were talking about Salaxy a little bit before that. Salaxy went ahead and launched as well and did 127% in 24 hours. So some really, really successful pre-sale plays that we have had. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about Token 6900 because this is one that is just launched, so it gives you a great opportunity to get in kind of on the ground floor and potentially experience a little bit more upside in some of these pre-sales that have been crushing it as is. We can see here a day and 6 hours left until price increases. Again, this is of course to give people who are in early a little bit more of a benefit for being early. And then you can see here raised about 300,000 so far. So it's just barely gotten started. I expect that this one will do quite well, but again, we don't know for sure. So this is what, in my opinion, this is one of the best ones that we've seen so far. I think even if you are or are not interested in buying, regardless of whether you'd like to end up buying or not, I think you should come check out the website. I think it's really entertaining. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty silly. There's a lot of kind of nostalgia bait on here, which I think is pretty fun and pretty cool. So overall, you can see here, connect to wallet. You can buy with crypto or buy with card if you are interested. You also can see there's a how to buy type of instruction list down here if you are interested. And you can also see for the tokenomics, 40% of it goes to marketing, 5% to staking rewards, 10% to Vibe liquidity, 24.9993% to does anyone have a dolphin, which again, not really exactly sure what this is. Rewards / airdrop / burn is 5%. 0.0007% is the developer Moonbag. Dev keeps 6,900 tokens. We can see that right here. And then 15% to Vibe coding development. So a pretty interesting and I think a pretty standard tokenomics display here. We can also see here Token 6900 has one more token than SPX 6900 because we are 1x better, which again, just kind of plays into the whole vibe of the site. So overall, I think that this is a really, really interesting type of project. Of course, it is a pre-sale, so it does have kind of inherent risks with that. But as we've seen in the past with both BTC Bull and Salaxy, which have both launched within the past couple of weeks, they can do some really insane numbers. So this is something I would say is definitely worth a look if you are interested in and are considering trying out pre-sales, because it does appear that pre-sale season might be back. So overall, these are the top 5 meme coins. I think there's a really wide spread between all of them and which ones could be, I think it gives you kind of a really nice diversified approach into the meme coin market. We got some pre-sales, we got some kind of old reliables, we got some chain specific ones, and then we also have kind of the, just a good swath above them between kind of high market cap to low market cap. So I think that this could be a really, really nice kind of overall portfolio for meme coins. Of course, you do need to do your own research and make your own decisions, but these seem like they could be interesting to me. Hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, like, subscribe, all that type of good stuff. And then of course, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks everybody.